Hello everyone. I'm Dewi Nur Puspitasari, and today I will tell you about a book. The title is Anne of Green Gables. I will retell about the storylines and my honest opinions. Let's take a look at the book design. There's so many versions of this book, and I chose to buy this one, the newest one, because I love the design and it looks cute. I can yeah, I can look at this happily. So the writer of this book is Lucy Maud Montgomery, and this book published in June 1908. And yeah, let's take a look at the synopsis. So this is the synopsis. This book tells the story of an orphan girl sent by mistake to a middle-aged brother and sister, Matthew and Marilla. And this book introduces some of the literary canon's most memorable characters, and including Rachel and Gilbert. My favorite character of this book is Anne and Gilbert. I love their chemistry. And the Cuthbert's family plan to adopt a boy to help with farm work, but they decide to keep Anne when they see that they may be able to help her by offering her a real home. While Matthew immediately warms to the impulsive and imaginative Anne, Marilla takes longer to come to love her. So yeah, let's take a look at the storyline, the main story. Uh, First, Matthew and Marilla are unmarried siblings who live off their farm, Green Gables, and in the quiet town of Avonlea in Prince Edward Island, Canada. Matthew is 60, and since he is getting too old to handle the farm work on his own, the Cuthberts decide to adopt an orphan boy to help him. This decision shocks the town gossip, Mrs. Rachel Lindy, who does not think Matthew and Marilla fit to raise a child. Matthew, who is terrified of women, arrives at the train station and finds a girl of orphan instead of a boy. The orphanage sent the 11-year-old Anne Shirley by mistake. Anne is talkativeness and spirit charm Matthew, who slyly tells Marilla that he wants to keep her. Marilla hesitates at first, but after a trial period, she agrees to let Anne stay on. So Anne is a talkative and happy girl despite living an impoverished life as an orphan. Though she lacks social graces and education, she has a rich and sophisticated fantasy life and an optimistic and generous spirit. Because Anne acts according to her instinct and not according to a code of manner, she unintentionally defies expectation of proper ladylike behavior. She attends church for the first time wearing a wreath of wildflowers, for example, and screams at Mrs. Rachel for making fun of her red hair, and tries hard to ob- obligate Marilla and follow her rules and of social conduct. But she makes many mistakes, like using liniment instead of vanilla in cake, letting a mouse drown in the plum pudding sauce, and delivering a heartfelt but ridiculous prayer on her first attempt to pray before bed. Anne never had real friends before living at Green Gables, so she was forced to invent imaginary playmates in Avonlea. She meets Diana Barry, a neighbor who quickly becomes her bosom friend. One afternoon, Anne invites Diana to tea and accidentally gives her red currant wine instead of raspberry juice. Diana returns home drunk, and Diana's mother, thinking Anne has intoxicated Diana on purpose, forbids the girls to speak each other again. The agonizing period of estrangement lasts until Anne saves Diana's sister, who is sick with the croup, which causes Mrs. Barry to forgive her. At school, Anne feuds with a handsome, smart boy named Gilbert. When they first meet, Gilbert taunts Anne by calling her carrots and pulling her red bread. Anne is extremely sensitive about her red hair, and Gilbert's teasing infuriates her. She screams at him and smashes a slate over his head. This, this accident marks the beginning of a rivalry between Anne and Gilbert, the two smartest pupils, which lasts until the end of the novel. As Anne grows up, she loses some of her childish flair for the melodramatic and romantic, and turns her spirited attention to academics. A beloved teacher, Miss Daisy, recognizes her Anne's intelligence and encourages her to join a special group of students preparing for the entrance exam to Queen's Academy. Her long-standing competition with Gilbert changes to an affectionate and familiar rivalry when, after 4 years of mutual silence, they both go to Queen's Academy, striving to make Matthew and Marilla proud, and devotes herself to her studies wholeheartedly and earns the prestigious Avery Scholarship, which grants her enough money to attend a four-year college the following fall. Anne was thrilled to learn that her future would be bright. However, when she returned home, Matthew had a heart attack and died. Anne decided to stay at Green Gables so that she could take care of Marilla, who was going blind. Gilbert heard about this decision and gave up his post as the teacher at Avonlea School so that Anne could teach there and be closer to Marilla. After 5 years of rivalry, Gilbert and Anne become friends because they were neighbors again after all these years apart. Although Anne's life narrowed considerably, since it no longer included higher education or marriage prospects, she remained optimistic about her future instead of being sad about it like everyone else in Avonlea. Uh, she seemed to doing fine. Whatever they talk about her situation with each other behind their backs. So that is the story. So I will move on to my personal opinions of this book. So why I chose this book? Because this is my favorite English classic. This is a children's book, right? And so I was expecting a story with a lovely protagonist and some lovely educating morals, and that's what I got. The main character is simply lovable from the very beginning, where she's being fetched by Matthew on the train station to come live in Green Gables. She's highly lovable about everything from the trees, to the birds and the brook, and the story is so wholesome and cozy in my perspective. I really like light reading. I don't like heavy stuff. Like I don't want to use my brain to think. So I think this book is meant for me and meant for children and young teenagers, like middle school teenagers. So this is my review of this book, not for beginner English speaker, because there's so many difficult words I cannot understand because my vocab is not really good. So yeah, I I apa namanya? The readers are waiting for the story to continue, right? So yeah, so many difficult words I cannot understand, so I had to look at Google Translate several times when I read this book. So the story the story is really wholesome and it's really cute because I love cute stuff, and this is really wholesome, cozy when I don't really, this is like my bedtime story. Like it's really cozy and enjoyable, and I'm crying reading this because it's not the sad, it's not a sad story, but I'm crying because it's touching and it's really beautifully written, delightful, very pleasing. It's all beautifully written. And about this story, right? Uh, the moral of the story is, I think that one thing about this book that appeals to children a lot is the fact that Anne has a vivid imagination. She can go on for pages about her thoughts and feeling while we, the readers, are waiting for the story to continue. Yes. Uh, the book turned into a narrative on Anne growing up, and each chapter become about a new episode in her life. That narrative style did become a bit too predictable for my taste, but it is a children book, so yeah. But in the end, I still really like this story because it warmed my heart and put a smile to my face when I read the story. So I had the time I had to laugh about little Ain. Sometimes it almost gave me the tears, but overall it was a heartwarming. It's really good book for children and young teenagers. I really recommend this. Okay, so thank you for watching my book reports. I really hope you guys enjoy this. So yeah, thank you.